In response to what started earlier this week, you threatened to cut off electricity to a big chunk of the United States.
Well, you know something, I have a great relationship with the governors of New York and Michigan and Minnesota. I just got off the phone yesterday with Governor Walz, and what a gentleman he is. And I'm going to put a 25% tariff on the electricity, the 1.5 million homes and businesses as of Monday until President Trump drops these tariffs. That's the last thing I want to do. It's the last thing. But he has to understand that he can't attack our country economically and expect us to roll over.
So let's keep talking about the PM's issues. I mentioned tariffs. It's funny, you know, while Anthony Albanese was very happy to talk about sending our troops to a war hotspot in Europe, he didn't want to talk at all about our steel and aluminium industries being hit by US tariffs.
I've said before, I'm not going to give a running commentary on a daily basis of President Trump's comments.
How worried are you an exemption for Australia is now off the table?
I'm focused on this issue. We'll continue to put our case to our friends in the United States.
Yeah, I love the way that he slid off with that answer there. And when asked how his government was going to do in its bid to convince Donald Trump to exempt Australia, Albanese immediately changed the subject to Cyclone Alfred, a topic he is clearly much more comfortable, James, and far happier to talk about.
Yeah, what a surprise. What an incredible surprise. You know, Anthony Albanese famously said, and I'm sure many of our viewers would have seen over the last couple of days, he said, "I'm not worried about votes, I'm focused on lives." Well, you know, Anthony Albanese must take some leadership, I suppose, for what's happening in Queensland. But you've got David Crisafulli, you've got the police, you've got the SES. There's a lot of people to help focus on saving lives in Queensland, but it's the Prime Minister's job to save livelihoods in our aluminium and steel industries. He's responsible for that. He's not broken through with Donald Trump. These tariffs come into effect on Wednesday unless our government can get some exemptions. Senator Dan Farrell, our trade minister, has not been able to get himself to the United States to meet with his co-partner there. Of course, Roger Cook over the weekend, who's just won the West Australian election, but he called the US Vice President JD Vance a quote-unquote knob, which doesn't exactly help at a time when we're trying to finesse the Trump administration to grant us tariff exemptions.
Correct.
Let's have a look at, in fact, we've got the vision here of Roger Cook and what he said about the US Vice President at a time we need the US to, throw us a bone.
JD Vance is a
knob. Sorry. You've got to have one unprofessional moment, don't you? That was it.
Sorry. You know why he said sorry, James? It's because it made international headlines that a leader in Australia has called the Vice President of the United States, one of our key allies, a knob. What was he thinking? As for the tariffs, though, if Anthony Albanese has not managed to get this sorted by now, that to me spells that there are serious issues. Shari Markson earlier this week actually revealed that Anthony Albanese has been unsuccessful in booking a phone call with Donald Trump. If you can't even get a phone call in with Donald Trump, well, gee, we've got some big problems, haven't we?
Yep, it certainly is a problem.